Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. You know, when you think about the Miami Dolphins, you think about potential. You think about flash, you think about talent, you think about those bright, teal jerseys glistening under that South Florida sun. But lately, what's been shining isn't the Dolphins' performance on the field. It's the chaos, the confusion, and the questions that have started to surround this franchise. And now, we've got a brand new report from NFL insider Jordan Schultz that adds another twist to the saga. According to Schultz, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross is not looking to move on from head coach Mike McDaniel anytime soon. Yeah, you heard that right. Despite the struggles, despite the noise, despite the rumors that have been swirling around Hard Rock Stadium, it looks like McDaniel's job is safe, at least for now. So let's break this down, because this is one of those stories that might look simple on the surface, but actually says a lot about where the Dolphins are right now, not just as a football team, but as an organization. First of all, Ross gave McDaniel a contract extension just last August. He signed him to a deal that runs through 2028, a move that basically said, "Hey, you're our guy. We believe in your vision. We believe in what you're building here." That's not something you walk back from lightly. And in the NFL, where guaranteed money and buyouts can get expensive real quick, firing a coach less than a year after extending him isn't just a football decision. It's a financial one too. We're talking about a lot of money on the table. And Stephen Ross, as passionate and impulsive as he can be, isn't in the habit of just burning cash for the sake of making a statement. Now, McDaniel himself is an interesting figure. The 42-year-old head coach is one of the most creative offensive minds in football. At least, that's how he was branded when he came in. The Dolphins wanted innovation. They wanted excitement. They wanted a coach who could maximize Tua Tagovailoa's skill set and bring some of that San Francisco 49ers magic to Miami. And for a while, it worked. Remember that early stretch last season when the Dolphins looked unstoppable? The speed, the motion, the play design. It was like watching a Madden highlight reel. TYREEK Hill was torching defenses, Jalen Waddle was flying past corners, and Tua looked like a completely different quarterback. But then came the injuries, the inconsistencies, and the late-season collapses that have started to define this team. And now, sitting here halfway through another disappointing campaign, McDaniel's 29-30 record suddenly doesn't look all that impressive. Schultz's report paints a picture of a coach who isn't necessarily on the hot seat right now, but could be if things keep trending downward. He specifically mentions that other insiders, guys like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, have said that Ross's patience might not last forever. If the Dolphins keep losing, and if fans start bailing on the team, those empty seats at Hard Rock Stadium might speak louder than any insider report. Because for all of Stephen Ross's loyalty and optimism, he's also a businessman. And nothing speaks louder to a businessman than revenue dropping and fans losing interest. Miami's been here before. The cycles of hope and heartbreak. The rebuilds that lead nowhere, the splashy hires that fizzle out. The one thing Ross doesn't want is for this fan base to check out again. But here's where it gets even more concerning. Schultz didn't just talk about Ross or McDaniel. He also mentioned that some players inside the Dolphins' locker room are starting to speak out. According to him, there are guys on that roster who believe the team lacks alignment and cohesion. That's a polite way of saying the locker room is fractured. That players don't believe in what's being sold to them. And that's a massive red flag. When your players start leaking frustration to the media, that means trust is breaking down. It means people are trying to protect their own reputations before the ship sinks. And when you have players, coaches, and executives all seemingly on different pages, it's not a football issue anymore. It's a culture issue. It's actually pretty stunning when you think about how quickly things have soured. This was supposed to be Miami's year. A team built to compete with the likes of Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore. A defense that added key pieces, an offense loaded with weapons, and a coaching staff with some of the brightest minds in the game. Instead, we're talking about disunity, finger-pointing, and speculation about whether the head coach has lost the locker room. And if you've watched the Dolphins lately, it's hard not to notice the body language. You see the missed tackles, the sloppy penalties, the sideline arguments, all the little signs that a team is starting to lose its identity. And look, say what you will about Mike McDaniel, but his personality has always been part of the story. He's quirky, he's analytical, He's funny in press conferences, but sometimes that kind of approach doesn't play well when the team starts losing. Players don't always want jokes and metaphors when they're getting embarrassed on Sundays. They want answers. They want accountability. They want leadership. And that's the question now. Can McDaniel be that guy when things get tough? Because scheming your way out of problems is one thing, but leading a fractured locker room back to belief, that's something else entirely. Now, if we take Schultz's report at face value, Ross isn't ready to pull the trigger. Not yet. Maybe he still believes McDaniel can turn it around. Maybe he's hoping that TUA and TYREEK can get hot again and salvage this season. Or maybe he's just waiting to see if the team bottoms out before making the tough call. But as some insiders have suggested, a bad loss could accelerate everything. A loss to the Cleveland Browns this Sunday, for example, might be that moment where the dominoes start falling. Because when a team starts spiraling, it's not just about wins and losses anymore. It's about optics. It's about how the team looks, how the fans feel, and how much longer ownership can stomach the noise. And honestly, for Dolphins fans, this has to be exhausting. Year after year, it feels like they're watching the same movie. Different coach, different quarterback, same ending. Hope in September, heartbreak in December. Every time they think the corner's being turned, the wheels come off. And it's not like they haven't had talent. They've had elite players, breakout stars, moments where they looked like true contenders. But the consistency never comes. And at some point, fans stop blaming luck. They start blaming leadership. They start blaming culture. And right now, both of those things fall squarely on Mike McDaniel's shoulders. Still, you can't completely ignore the other side of this argument. The people who say firing McDaniel right now would be a mistake. Because let's be real, constant coaching turnover is part of what's held Miami back in the first place. You can't build continuity if you're resetting every 2 or 3 years. You can't develop young players, install a complex offensive system, or recruit elite free agents if nobody knows what kind of team you're trying to be. In that sense, Ross holding steady might actually be the right move. Maybe he wants to give McDaniel the full season to prove he can adjust, to show growth, to stabilize the locker room. After all, if you keep blowing it up, you're never building anything. But then there's the harsh reality of results. The NFL isn't a patient league. Owners don't get trophies for stability. They get them for winning. And if McDaniel can't deliver wins, that 2028 extension won't mean much. Because once the fans stop showing up, once the local media starts hammering the narrative that the Dolphins have lost their way, Ross might have no choice but to make a change. That's how this league works. Loyalty lasts only as long as the scoreboard allows it to. So, as we head into another crucial stretch for the Dolphins, all eyes are on Sunday. Not just because of the game itself, but because of what it represents. A win could buy McDaniel some breathing room, maybe even start a late-season rally. But a loss, especially an ugly one, could be the spark that ignites a full-blown crisis. The kind of crisis that forces ownership to reconsider everything, from the coaching staff to the front office to the future of Tua Tagovailoa as the franchise quarterback. Because once you lose faith inside the locker room, it's almost impossible to get it back. And that's where this story really hits home. It's not just about one coach or one owner. It's about what happens when a team with so much potential keeps finding ways to fall short. It's about accountability, direction, and identity. Stephen Ross might not be ready to move on from Mike McDaniel yet, but if the next few weeks go the wrong way, not yet can turn into right now in the blink of an eye. And for a franchise that's been chasing consistency for 2 decades, that might just be the most painful truth of all. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world is buzzing this week after what some are calling one of the most unfiltered moments in recent Miami Dolphins history. Sources close to the team say the locker room atmosphere has been tense ever since Tua Tagovailoa, the team's starting quarterback, reportedly snapped live on camera at one of his teammates, none other than Tyreek Hill. The moment has not officially been confirmed by the team, but whispers and social media clips have been circulating fast, painting a picture of a locker room charged with electricity, tension, and perhaps frustration that had been simmering under the surface for some time. Fans of the Dolphins, and really anyone following the NFL, are now trying to piece together what exactly triggered the exchange, how serious it was, and what this could mean for the team moving forward. The story itself is compelling because it seems to capture a side of TUA that isn't often seen. Fiery, human, and unwilling to hold back when emotions run high. According to multiple insiders, the confrontation occurred during what was supposed to be a routine team meeting. What was initially described as some back-and-forth banter quickly escalated into a full-blown argument. TUA, who has generally been portrayed in the media as calm, strategic, and even-tempered, apparently let frustration get the better of him. The target? Tyreek Hill, a star wide receiver known for his explosive plays on the field and sometimes audacious personality off it. While the details of the argument remain fuzzy, some say it was about a misread play, others hint at deeper frustrations with teamwork or accountability. The impact is becoming clearer. Those who were in the room reportedly described a palpable shift in energy. A locker room that normally hums with camaraderie suddenly felt tight, uncomfortable, and on edge. TUA's voice, firm and unwavering in that moment, is said to have carried across the room, leaving teammates momentarily stunned. Observers have noted that these kinds of public confrontations, especially in professional sports, rarely happen without leaving a lingering effect, both for the individuals involved and for team dynamics as a whole. For fans, the incident has sparked a wildfire of speculation. On social media, clips of the heated exchange, though unofficial and often taken out of context, have racked up millions of views. Commentators and analysts are weighing in, trying to parse TUA's tone, his body language, and what it all might mean for the Dolphins' upcoming season. Some suggest this is a wake-up call, a sign that TUA is finally asserting himself as a true leader, refusing to let mistakes slide and demanding accountability from every corner of the team. Others, however, worry that it's indicative of larger cracks within the Dolphins' locker room, cracks that could affect morale, trust, and ultimately performance on the field. It's the kind of story that makes sports fans lean in, not just because of the drama itself, but because it hints at a narrative underneath the headlines, a story of leadership, ego, and the pressures of performing at the highest level. The context surrounding TUA and Hill's relationship adds another layer to this story. Both athletes are undeniably talented, but their dynamic has often been described as complicated. Hill is known for his intensity, competitiveness, and sometimes brash style, which can either inspire or irritate teammates depending on the moment. TUA, conversely, is meticulous, calculated, and has had to navigate the pressures of high expectations since entering the league. The convergence of these personalities, combined with the high stakes of professional football, creates a perfect storm where even a minor disagreement can flare into something much bigger. Some insiders even hint that tensions have been quietly building for months, fueled by missed opportunities, on-field miscommunications, and the immense pressure of trying to perform for a fan base that demands nothing less than excellence. In this light, the recent altercation might not be an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of a deeper, ongoing story within the Dolphins organization. Adding fuel to the fire are the reactions, or lack thereof, from other players and staff. Sources suggest that while some teammates attempted to mediate the situation, others quietly observed, perhaps trying to gauge where loyalties lie or how the incident might affect the team's cohesion. The coaching staff, naturally, is reportedly concerned about both the optics and the underlying tension. In professional sports, locker room chemistry can often make the difference between a team that succeeds under pressure and one that crumbles when the stakes are highest. If this moment between TUA and Hill is indicative of larger fractures, then the Dolphins could have some serious work ahead in managing personalities, egos, and expectations. And yet, for all the drama, some insiders point out that moments like these can also galvanize a team. Conflict, when handled correctly, can lead to breakthroughs in communication, trust, and performance. It's a delicate balance, and one that the Dolphins will need to navigate carefully if they hope to turn potential turbulence into triumph. The ripple effects of this incident are already being felt outside the locker room. Sports media outlets, YouTube channels, and fan forums are buzzing with debate, speculation, and hot takes. Analysts dissect every angle, from TUA's reaction to Hill's response, trying to determine who is in the wrong, or if both players simply reached a boiling point under the pressures of the game. Rumors of private meetings, apologies, and strategic interventions by coaches are swirling, though none have been officially confirmed. Meanwhile, fans are divided. Some are staunchly supportive of Tua, praising his willingness to speak up and hold his teammates accountable. Others see it as a lapse in professionalism, worrying about what a public confrontation could mean for the team's image and locker room unity. The narrative is developing in real time, and it's the kind of story that can define a season, whether as a moment of internal conflict or as a turning point in leadership and team identity. Some sources even hint at the possibility that this incident could influence future plays, on-field strategies, or even contract discussions. While such speculation is far from verified, it underscores how intertwined personal dynamics are with professional outcomes in sports. A quarterback's relationship with his wide receivers is fundamental to a team's success, and any tension between Tua and Hill could potentially have implications beyond just the locker room gossip. Coaches, analysts, and insiders alike are reportedly paying close attention to how this interaction will unfold in the coming weeks, whether it will be a one-off moment of frustration or a catalyst for a larger conversation about leadership, accountability, and team culture. For the Dolphins, the stakes couldn't be higher. They are a team with championship aspirations, and managing internal dynamics is just as crucial as executing plays on Sundays. As the story continues to develop, it's clear that Tua's outburst has done more than just make headlines. It has sparked conversation about leadership, accountability, and the human side of professional sports. The NFL, often seen as a league dominated by raw talent, strategy, and statistics, is also a stage where personalities, emotions, and interpersonal dynamics play a critical role. In this case, Tua's moment of candor, whether seen as explosive or courageous, has offered fans and insiders a rare glimpse into the pressures, frustrations, and responsibilities that come with being the quarterback of a high-profile team. Whether this incident will be remembered as a locker room scandal, a turning point, or simply a footnote in the season remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the buzz is real, the tension is palpable, and the story is far from over. For Miami Dolphins fans, this is more than just a rumor. It's a reflection of the high-stakes, high-pressure environment of the NFL. Every game, every practice, and every interaction can have lasting consequences, and the Tua Hill incident is a vivid reminder of that reality. As analysts continue to speculate, social media continues to dissect, and insiders continue to whisper, one thing remains consistent: the Dolphins' locker room is alive with energy, drama, and anticipation. And for Tua Tagovailoa, this moment, whether viewed as a challenge, a lapse, or a leadership statement, may define not only his relationship with Hill, but also his evolving role as the quarterback at the center of one of the league's most fascinating teams. Fans, media, and players alike are now waiting, watching, and wondering, what comes next for the Miami Dolphins in the wake of this explosive and unexpected moment that has captured the attention of the football world? That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.